Hi, I'm Clara Rose, and this is Influence Matters, the show where each week I share tips, tricks, tools, hacks, resources, and sometimes some interviews to help savvy influence builders just like you to strategically and intentionally build and cultivate influence, because that is how we organically generate leads for our business, ministry, cause, or brand. And that is why we're here today. So welcome once again to another episode of Influence Matters. Before we start, I of course have to say thank you to our sponsor, Rosedale Publishing. They help you to publish your book if you are a professional or an entrepreneur looking for a business book. That's what they specialize in. So thank you so much for helping to make our show possible. And then, of course, I have to give a shout out to the fine folks over at Tampa Bay Multimedia and WeBeam TV, which is where we're at today, for truly making this show possible. So thank you, thank you. Okay, so today I don't have a guest, so that means I do have a question of the week from a viewer just like you. And this week's question is: I was recently promoted to a leadership position, but honestly, I don't feel like a leader. Do you have any advice for me, Clara, the reluctant leader? Well, my reluctant friend, I do have some advice for you. To start with, let's just say this: leadership is not scary. This should not be a scary word for you. These people are people just like you. They have families and they have hopes and dreams for their lives. So the best thing that I can tell you is just to remember that they're people too, and to be kind, because kindness truly does matter. Today we're going to talk about, just for you, reluctant, I guess, leaders is what I want to call you. I think most people, when they step into leadership for the first time, I think they probably do have a little bit of hesitation. They feel maybe that they're not quite equipped for leadership, or they feel like, who's going to listen to me anyway? Why would anybody pay attention to anything that I have to say? Now, if you came up through the ranks within an organization, then you probably have built up some of those skills because you've taken baby steps towards leading. Perhaps you led a small team for a project, or perhaps you were over a small department or division before you stepped into a large leadership role. Sometimes those things can be helpful to just make us feel a little more prepared. And other times we get hired in to an organization, or maybe it's your own organization. Maybe you're one of those newbies that have started up a business or even been in business for a little while, but you still feel like, why would anybody pay attention to me? What do I have to say that anybody's going to listen to? So today I wanted to just talk a little bit about leadership. Remember, each week I say, write, speak, lead, because influence matters. Well, leadership is one of those pieces. So today we're going to talk about the mindset of a savvy leader. So we're going to talk about mindset of the leader, talk about leading from the front, and then casting a vision. So these are important pieces to help you be a savvy leader. Okay, that's hard to say, isn't it? Savvy leader. Let's get started on mindset. Mindset's one that I think a lot of people struggle with. And I promise you, there's a ton of books out there that you could read on mindset. And there's actually whole coaching practices around mindset. And the reason that is because mindset is super important for us. How we think about things really helps mold how we act and the way that we respond to people. So mindset is an important thing. So what can I say about mindset? Well, a leader has to think differently because they have to consider the big picture. So the organization, the staff, customers, those are all part of the equation, and your mindset really does matter. So the pro tip here for sure is mindset is ever changing. So make the decision to take captive your thoughts, right? Take captive, that's a kind of, maybe you're not familiar with that saying. If you're a scripture reader, you've already heard that before, but taking capture of your thoughts is just paying attention to what kinds of things you're thinking, and then you be the one in control of them. Now, we all struggle in our lives in different ways with our thought life and our mindset, right? So I guess the biggest trick to that is recognizing when you have a thought that isn't true or doesn't fit who you want to be or who you know that you are. We all let our minds wander sometimes. And depending on your personality, you might let it wander to the negative. You might be a dreamer and let it wander to the positive. But if you have that tendency to let it wander down a negative road, practice catching yourself having those negative thoughts and reining them back in. Nope. Interrupt it. Say, nope, I'm not going down that road. Perhaps you've experienced this with a loved one. Maybe you have an argument or disagreement. It can even happen in the workplace. You have an argument or disagreement. And then afterwards, you think of all of the things you should have said or that you could have said. Oh, I should have said this, or I should have said that, or, oh man, that would have been the perfect time to say that, right? So we have all these things that start to come into our head, and often we'll run with them. Well, then if I said this, and then they probably would have said that, and then I might have said this. And so we can spiral pretty quickly down a road that makes us feel negative or feel badly, and it never even happened, right? It didn't even really take place, that conversation. It was just in our head, right? They never said those things. I never responded, or you never responded the way that your little thought train went. So make a habit of recognizing when those things do occur and saying, nope, put a stop to it, rein it back in. That's all really basic, lower level, simple mindset stuff. Get a hold of those thoughts and work to change or rephrase in your mind how you want things to go. Perhaps you could take that to the positive and say, oh, I should have said this because that would have diffused the situation. Or I could have said that because it would have taken some of the tension out of the room. So that's really just about captivating those thoughts and making them work for you instead of against you. If you struggle in this area, I promise you that some of the best money you will ever spend on personal development is somebody to help you with your mindset. There's coaches out there that specialize in that. In fact, the lady that I wrote the book with last year, Debbie Clement Large, she is a specialist in the field of mindset and spiritual psychology. She would love to chat with you. So you can find her online at Why Follow the Herd if you'd like a little bit more mindset work done. She's wonderful. She actually has taught me so much about my own mindset. If you are a new leader, I challenge you to do some personal development and work on your mindset. Okay, let's move on to the next step of being a savvy leader. Okay, lead from the front. I'm sure you've heard this before, but leaders provide direction for a company or organization, and they set the pace of how things move. So don't expect your followers to do things that you are unwilling to do yourself. Leadership really does matter, and my pro tip for you here is it's not just about what you say, they are watching you. It's kind of like having children, right? You can tell children, don't do this or don't say that, don't behave in this way, but if you do, likely they will as well. In fact, when you're not looking, is probably when it's going to happen, because mom and dad's not there to keep their eye on them, make sure that they're behaving appropriately. Sometimes that happens with our staff and the people around us as well. However you behave, they are also going to behave, likely. Now there's always going to be the rogue, always going to be the rebel, right, who's going to misbehave now and again. But in general, if you are a kind, courteous, thoughtful leader who is excellent at customer service, takes very good care of your customers, truly cares about them as people, then you will find that your employees, your staff, are going to behave in the same ways. They're going to learn from you that whatever activities, whatever habits, whatever attitudes that you have modeled, they will begin to model as well. This is a great way to spread culture through your organization in a strategic and intentional, positive way. If you let it just go willy-nilly, who knows what kind of culture you'll end up with in the end. As a matter of fact, there has been multiple times in my career that organizations have brought me in to talk with them about those very things. Leadership is super important when we're talking about culture. If you don't strategically and intentionally create the culture that you want, guess what? You might end up with one that you don't like, and then you'll be bringing in a professional to help you fix it. Okay, let's move on to the next piece. I call it casting a vision. So casting a vision is really just a look at your organization and what you want for it to look like. So when I say casting a vision, I mean that leaders cast a vision of the goals and aspirations of the organization. As a leader, this is your job. So not vague ideas, but a clear vision about who you serve and how you serve them, right? The vision of the organization truly does matter. And your pro tip here, of course, is get to know your people. As they learn to trust you, they will follow you. If you have leadership in an organization that is not connected to the people, you're definitely going to end up with trouble. So you need to get to know them as people, but you also need to connect with them in the workplace as it pertains to the vision that you have for the organization. It does little good for a leader or the leadership in general, who tend to get together often and talk about vision and things of that nature. Where are we at? Where are we going? What's coming next quarter? What's coming the following quarter? Those kinds of things. And it's easy to forget that it's important for it to go beyond just that room, just that meeting, just that board meeting, however you're structured. It needs to move beyond that and trickle down to the people below you. So if you can engage the leadership below the executive level, engage them in the vision that you've cast, and then once they buy in, now they can engage the people below them in the vision that has been cast. But it truly does start with casting a vision. Right? As a leader, you have to have a vision for where you want to lead people. Remember I said leaders lead, right? Leaders lead from the front, right? You want to be that kind of leader that people actually want to follow. We're actually really inspired by great leaders. If you look back in our history, you can pick out people that inspired you as a leader, and you think, wow, look at all the amazing and wonderful things this person did, or look at the social change that came about from this person, or whatever that leader did that is inspiring and impressive to you. The other side of that is that leaders can also be very negative and have a negative effect on us and society. So think about, what kind of leader do I want to be in my organization? That could be a very large organization, could be a small business, or it could be your own organization, such as mine. My organization consists of me and then the freelancers or the outsourced people that I use in my organization. I need an extra editor. I know where I can find extra editors. If I need, somebody to work on a piece that, I just don't have time for, to do some developmental editing or some brainstorm and blueprint, I have people that I can contract with to bring those services to my clients. Now, they are just as important in this equation as if they were actual employees that worked within my organization. Because when I have a client that they're going to work with, I need to know and trust that they're going to take really good care of my client, that it's going to be as if I'm right there taking really good care of my client. I'm pretty protective as a business owner of my clients, and you've probably heard me talk about this before, but they are your most valuable resource, your most valuable asset, right? If you didn't have clients, you wouldn't have a business. So you have to take really good care of them. That's also, of course, a wonderful source of resources or referrals for you, not resources, referrals as your business grows. Right? Nothing spreads the good word faster than a super satisfied customer, a happy customer, right? Nothing spreads bad news as quickly as an unhappy customer as well. So just a little food for thought for you there today. Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about the heart and mind that really matters. It's the heart and the mind of how you are as a leader that really matters. Leaders who care about, there's that heart, who care about their people, they inspire creativity and loyalty and even commitment to you as an organization, to you as a leader. Then a good leader who uses the heart and mind strategy also creates a strategic focus with intentional action for the goals that you want to achieve within your organization. So, of course, I'm here to say, once again, be strategic and intentional about how this happens in your organization. And then, of course, my pro tip here for you is, great leaders inspire us all. Be the kind of leader you want to follow. Now, you may have heard that before. I'm sure I've even said it before on one of my episodes of this show. If you can say, I want to be this kind of leader. I want to be a kind, caring, compassionate leader that the people in my organization or my subcontractors or however you're leading people that they want to follow, this is what that looks like. So having a clear idea of what you're trying to teach them because you want them to emulate what you do. Right? So have a clear vision of what you want. I want to encourage you to become, especially you brand new leaders, become a reader. Not just because I'm a writer, but become a reader. The statistics for leadership and especially in the C-suite, executive level, the statistics around their success and them being readers is staggering. I, of course, don't know the statistic off the top of my head, but I was thinking about that today as I was preparing. I'm like, man, I should look that up so that I have that number, but it is mind-boggling. Readers are good leaders, right? That's where we learn, we grow, we work on our own mindset, we learn new skills on how to lead better. All of those things come from us learning from somewhere else. And I'm here to tell you that the best way is reading. So find yourself a stack of books. It's a little embarrassing, actually. I have a stack of books that I just keep collecting them, and they sit in a stack, and I just get through them. Probably read 3 or 4 at a time, which is maybe not as effective as it could be. But I'm like, ooh, this one's good, and I'll read a little bit. Like, oh, I want to read this one a little bit. And you don't have to do that. You can do one at a time, but try to make a practice out of a book a month, even. I know some executives who read a book a week. Now, I've never attained that level of crazy, but I'm telling you, they're amazing people, and it's because they're constantly feeding their mind with this good stuff. And I just want to encourage you, if you want to be a great leader, become a great reader. And of course, we all love books. Books are our friends. I have 3 books that I want to talk briefly about before we run out of time today that I'm going to recommend to you, especially to you, my friend, the reluctant leader, because I think these are a great foundational place for you to get a good start as a leader. But these are also really great for anyone. So the first one is called A Leader's Gift, and the author is Barry Banther. I was fortunate enough to meet Barry, I think 2012 or 13-ish. I can't remember exactly. I was a part of the National Speakers Association Speakers Academy. And he was one of the speakers that came to the Speakers Academy. He's a part of the local National Speakers Association chapter locally here in the Tampa area. And a bunch of us were asked to be a part of his book launch of this book. And I was honored to be a part of the book launch. It was the first time I had participated in a book launch for somebody who, I wasn't working with directly. So it was kind of an exciting thing for me. And wonderful, wonderful book. So Barry Banther, Banther, A Leader's Gift. I promise you will not be able to put it down, and what you'll learn in here is just gold. He has a wonderful servant's heart and a really long career in leadership. I promise you will love that book. Okay. The next book that I'm going to recommend is called The Heartbeat of a Real Leader, and the author is Tina Levine, Levene. Heartbeat of a Real Leader. And actually, REAL is an acronym. And probably the reason that I know this book is I was the developmental editor on this book. So when I was just developmental editing with Rosedale Publishing. Wonderful book, wonderful stories, and really you can see as an acronym, it'll walk you through it in the book. I promise you this is an amazing book that you won't be able to put down, and you're going to learn a lot about leading with the heart. So both of those are very much the heart. So I said the heart and mind of leadership. Both of those are very much from the heart pieces. And then, of course, I'm very proud of Tina and had a great time working on the project with her. She's one of those people, I tell the story when she came in. It's her 5th book, I think. She came in to get ready for the brainstorm and blueprint process to start this book with this bag of just this handbag, and she just turned it upside down. She's a comedian. She's a humorist. So this was, just total Tina, turned it upside down, and all these sticky notes and little pieces of paper just fell all over the floor, just stacks. And we all laughed hysterically about it. She's like, this is how I make books. I build books. It was so funny. Then we collected them up, and then we did a brainstorm and blueprint. And she was like, oh my gosh, this process is so much better than the way that I've been doing it. She was super fun to work with, and the book turned out wonderfully. I highly recommend The Heartbeat of a Real Leader by Tina Levine. So watch that. For sure, watch for that. Get yourself a copy of that. And then finally, the last book I'm going to recommend for you is The Vision-Driven Leader, and that is by Michael Hyatt. I am a longtime follower of Michael Hyatt. He has a wonderful michaelhyatt.com. You can go on and look at his leadership, very much leadership-focused trainings. When he first left Thomas Nelson Publishing, he was actually, I think, their CEO for a number of years. And when he first left there, I started following him. So we're talking 2009 or 10 maybe. This is not Michael's first book. He also did Platform. Fabulous book if you're trying to build an online platform. He's got a number of them out there, but this one I'm bringing this one up because it's all about leading from vision. So this book will actually walk you through how to cast a vision, create a vision for your role as a leader, and then how to get it from your head as a leader out to your people. Fabulous book. I absolutely encourage you to not only get yourself a copy of The Vision-Driven Leader and read that, but go to michaelhyatt.com and get on the newsletter. Get anything that you can. He has a ton of really wonderful resources. He actually launched Platform University. I was one of the founding members. I'm still a member. He recently sold it to Pete Vargas, and I'm still a member because there is so much gold in there about building an online platform that I just would never give up my membership price, which was so inexpensive for me because I came in so early. But Michael Hyatt, fabulous. Follow him, and get your hands on The Vision-Driven Leader book. I promise you, those 3 books are going to make a difference for you as a leader. Now, I normally am not on here talking about books, but because leadership is something that we don't talk about often on the show, now, Write, Speak, Lead. I talk about it in that way. We talk a lot about writing your own book and the value that that has in building influence. And absolutely, number one way to build influence is having your own book. So we always start there. And then speak. Speaking is the second fastest way to get influence, gain influence for your business, ministry, cause, brand, whatever it is. Not everyone is comfortable getting on the stage and speaking, but I encourage you to at least find some small stages, some networking groups, go join Toastmasters if you need to go there to hone your skill. Find a place where you can start speaking. And by the way, bring the book that you wrote, right? That book is going to open doors for more speaking opportunities for you. But today I want to highlight the leadership piece. Usually I'm talking about finding a place to lead within your community where you can get some influence and make a difference. Any place. It can be a nonprofit. I have a couple places where I'm in leadership for a nonprofit because I care about what they do. What they do speaks to me. What they do matters, and I want to support them. So I sit on the board, I show up, I speak up, and I make a difference. I get involved. And as a result, I get influence. That's not my number one goal for leadership, of course, in that way, but I am gaining influence with others around me because I'm leading in that way. Phew. So I've covered a lot today. My reluctant leader friend, I hope that you found some value in this. Please get your hands on these books because I promise you they're going to help you out. If you have more questions, you can always shoot me over an email. I'm happy to at any time answer. You can hop on my website, clararose.com. And you can click on book an appointment and you can get a 15-minute or 30-minute call with me. I'm happy to chat with you. Or hello@clararose.com. Shoot me over an email. I'm happy to answer email questions as well. If you are ready to be a savvy leader, to have the mindset of a savvy leader, these are the steps for you. Get your mindset right. Lead from the front of the organization. And then cast the vision because your mindset really does matter. Okay, my friends, we're just about out of time, but once again, thank you for showing up. You show up every week to see me. Thank you for being here. I want to remind you to write, speak, and lead because influence truly does matter. See you next week.